States hit pause on EV mandates amid mounting market and infrastructure pressures. EV policy in the United States is undergoing significant recalibration. Multiple states have paused or altered their EV sales mandates, responding to concerns about market feasibility, infrastructure limitations, and emerging federal regulatory uncertainty. While ambitious zero-emission vehicle (Z) sales targets remain a long-term goal, these developments reflect a pragmatic reassessment of near-term realities. Vermont. Infrastructure and technology lead to temporary halt. On May 13th, Vermont Governor Phil Scott issued Executive Order 425 to suspend the state's adoption of California's Advanced Clean Cars 2 and Advanced Clean Trucks rules. The program would have mandated a steady increase in ZV sales, starting with the 2026 model year, aiming for 100% by 2035. Governor Scott cited specific barriers, including inadequate public charging infrastructure, limited technological readiness for heavy-duty EVs, and affordability concerns for consumers. The pause runs through December 31st, 2026, providing the state time to address critical infrastructure gaps. Maryland. Delaying enforcement to allow market catch-up. In April 2025, Maryland Governor Wes Moore signed an executive order delaying enforcement of the state's EV sales requirements. Maryland had aligned itself with California's standards but faced mounting obstacles: slow EV adoption rates, rising concerns over EV affordability, and underdeveloped charging infrastructure. The executive order suspends fines and penalties for non-compliance, granting carmakers and regulators additional time to prepare for large-scale EV market penetration. Virginia, legal exit from California's mandates. Virginia took an even firmer step in June 2024, when Governor Glenn Youngkin announced that the state would sever ties with California's emissions program altogether. Backed by a legal opinion from Attorney General Jason Miyares, Virginia formally exited California's Clean Cars 2 mandate, which had tied vehicle emission standards and ZV sales targets to those of California. Governor Youngkin framed the move as a defense of consumer choice and a response to weak EV demand in the state. Virginia will now align with less stringent federal emissions regulations, starting with the 2025 model year. California. A tactical retreat under federal pressure. California, historically the leader of aggressive vehicle emissions policies, preemptively withdrew requests for federal waivers to enforce new zero-emission truck and locomotive standards in January 2025. State officials cited expectations that the new presidential administration would block the requests. The decision is widely viewed as strategic, allowing California to regroup rather than risk costly legal battles with federal regulators. Nonetheless, the California Air Resources Board, CARB, continues to express a long-term commitment to advancing clean transportation goals. Industry perspective. Automakers urge realism. The automotive industry has also expressed mounting concern over aggressive EV targets. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, representing most major automakers, warns that the combination of infrastructure delays, supply chain instability, and slower than anticipated consumer adoption makes meeting the envisioned 80% EV sales target by 2035 increasingly unlikely. The group cautions that overambitious mandates could backfire, shrinking overall vehicle availability as manufacturers divert resources toward compliance instead of meeting market demands, Reuters. A fragmented and uncertain path forward. The actions taken by Vermont, Maryland, Virginia, and California underscore the growing divide among states navigating the transition to EVs. While the long-term momentum toward vehicle electrification remains strong, the road ahead is now shaped by greater recognition of market, technological, and regulatory realities. As the federal government under the Trump administration reconsiders national EV policies, including potential rollbacks of emissions and fuel economy standards, states and automakers face a patchwork landscape requiring flexibility and collaboration. The U.S. EV policy trajectory in 2025 represents a critical inflection point, balancing bold environmental ambitions with the practical complexities of infrastructure, affordability, and consumer readiness. Industry observers will be watching closely to see whether these pauses ultimately serve as tactical adjustments or signal a longer-term recalibration of U.S. transportation decarbonization strategies. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by E&E Leader. For partnership opportunities, reach out to a member of our team today.